So what was the number one song when you graduated from high school? Hey, it's Saturday morning. Let's vlog a little bit. It doesn't always have to be real estate. Let's have some fun here. I'm a musician. I made a living at music for a while and enjoyed it also as a disc jockey for 10 years on the air, also a music director. So music's part of me. I saw this little page at mentalfloss.com and I thought we'd go down. So now here's my year right here, which was 1968. I graduated Short Ridge High School, same school Kurt Vonnegut went to in Indianapolis. So Mrs. Robinson, man, that's pretty meaty. You know, the movie, there was a lot of shifting culturally. It was quite an interesting topic. And that song then became one for an 18-year-old boy. That was, you know, part of the drill. But let's kind of go back. If you graduated in 1960, you're probably about in your early 80s then. So Kathy's Clown by the Everly Brothers. Here's what's kind of neat about it. That I could play these, but then I'd get into copyright stuff. You can play it. I'll have this link to this page in my description below, and then you can click on it and listen to the song. So right here in the 55 plus community that my wife and I chose to live in, one of the very first concerts they had about a year ago was an Everly Brothers tribute band. They were really good. It was fun. It was enlightening. It was great. And now we've got our new band shell up, the pavilion. So we've got more and more concerts coming. Runaway, again, completely different style of music with his vocal renderings of that, and that was a big hit. I know you can probably hear it in your mind. 62, I Can't Stop Loving You, so kind of a slow ballad. Ray Charles, interesting stuff. They were trying to go after the country. Maybe they saw, I don't know, Charlie Pride, whatever, but that was he looks young there, doesn't he? All right, and then in 1963, I'm not even going to talk about that one. I don't even know that one. That was too soon after World War II for me. Chapel of Love. Now here we go into some kind of neat, kind of whole different kind of groove. The girls, the chick groups, and that was a hit. Let's go into the Chapel of Love. Now this is amazing. 65. If you graduated in 65, now I heard somebody speaking the other day about Herman. I think it was from my local radio station, John Hancock on WBT, talking about how many times has Peter Noon had to sing Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, but he's still alive and kicking last time I looked, so good for him. And whoever wrote that song, think about the mailbox money from all the royalties. Music was different before digital. Monday, and if you graduated in 66 and Monday, now this group, I mean, think about the song that I went to a church and I got on my knees and knelt down to pray. You don't hear stuff too much like that unless you're listening to Elevation Worship, which you should be. Some of the greatest music in the world coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Elevation Worship. Yes. In fact, when I went to the record store last week, I got a turntable. I went to the record store. It's right there on the in Matthews, right there where the Elevation Church headquarters is, right there in the strip mall. Noble Records is right there. Shout out. So now here we go now, 67. Now we're talking about one of my favorite groups, Felix Cavaliere and the Young Rascals. And I believe he's still cooking too. It's cool. He's got a one where he does grooving and then he kind of goes, this is like from a few years ago, and he goes right into apples, peaches, pumpkin pie. She was young and so was I. And then he goes back into grooving. I think I met Cavaliere when he was in an all-star band with, I think Billy Preston. No, it wouldn't have been the two of them, but Steve Cropper from Memphis was in that, from Booker T and the MGs and, the Blues Brothers Band. Anyway, that was a fun concert, just kind of super group. And then that was 67. Now here's my year. I mentioned Mrs. Robinson, Simon and Garfunkel. That's when I graduated. Of course, by that time, I was working at a black radio station, R&B, FM, had just gone on the air. If you want to hear about my past, you could go to RogerHollowayStory.com. RogerHollowayStory.com. I lay out 5 patterns of decades and 5-year periods, whatever. But that was a brand new station, WTLC FM in Indianapolis, and I was on because they didn't have any money to pay anybody. So I was working for $1.60 an hour, but I was on the air. I was on the radio, dude, and I got off the air that afternoon and went to my high school graduation. and number one was Simon and Garfunkel. But I was listening to the Four Tops. In fact, my first interview was with Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops. But not so much about me. What do you think about me? I'm teasing. 69, Get Back. Now think about it. There's Billy Preston. Did you know that he was called the Black Beatle? He just died recently in the last, I don't know, couple of years, I think. Billy Preston, man, came up through gospel. What a neat career he had. I liked seeing him play with Eric Clapton at one point. So Get Back. I mean, you can hear all these in your head, can't you? And then American Woman and No Sugar Tonight. The Guess Who? That was a tie. 1970. Interesting. And then Joy to the World, Three Dog Night. Really? How about that? That was a fun song, wasn't it? And then Roberta Flack. Now, you may or may not know this, but Roberta Flack, the last time I looked, is still alive in her early 80s, and she lives about 2 hours west of here in I think it's Black Mountain. I think that's where she grew up, and then tied with Sammy Davis. The first time ever I saw your face. Man, what a tune. Paul McCartney and Wings in 73. I saw Paul with the Beatles in 64. The Streak by Ray Stevens. So there's a kind of a novelty song. In fact, he was somewhat of an inspiration to me. We wrote a song, my 3 guys, about kind of a novelty song, kind of a takeoff of a novelty song. It's called Fed Gator's a Dead Gator. I'll put a link to that in the description below. I should be writing this down. And Ray Stevens did novelty songs. So, hey, let's do a novelty song about the alligator trapper. And also kind of a takeoff of Spill the Wine with Eric Burden, kind of where you have some narration on the verses. That was kind of our inspiration. And about a real guy, Alligator Joe in Hilton Head, the friend. All right, The Streak, we know what that was about. Ray Stevens, another novelty song. Then you got Tony Orlando and Dawn. I don't know. Okay, Silly Love Songs by Wings. I mean, that was a pop song. I was listening. Well, by that point, I had just gotten out of my rock and roll band. I was in from 69 to 73, and then I went back into radio. So I wasn't really listening to Tony Orlando. Silly Love Songs, Wings, Sir Duke, Stevie Wonder, had a chance to meet him. Right about that time, about 79, I met Stevie in a little coffee shop in L.A. He and I are exactly the same age. What a talent. If you were graduated in 78, number one song, Wings again, here he is. And then Shadow Dancing with Andy Gibb from the Bee Gees, I guess. Reunited, so there's an R&B song that was a pop hit, crossover. And then you just kind of go on down, more and more Paul McCartney and whatever. So if you hear any noise, it's just me and the boys. Why did George Clinton from North Carolina not have a hit record? He had hits, but not a number one. Guys, thank you for indulging me on a Saturday morning. Stay tuned. Let's go buy a house. See you in the next video.